it's Carly Burr, and welcome back to Taking Life Offline. Today is part 3 in a 4-part series that I'm doing all about building your offline presence. This is kind of the kickstart, the foundation for building an offline presence. And I decided to do this series because I've been offline for nearly 9 years now. And how I've been able to take care of my needs and my wants that maybe social media was fulfilling for me at the time, how I've been able to take care of those and stay off for such a long time is through building my offline presence. It's really been that thing that has helped me stay offline and fulfill those things in a way that I no longer need social media to fulfill them for me. So in hopes to help you gain better perspective or to give you insight into what you can do to help lay this foundation so you no longer will need social media anymore, this is the series for you. If you are someone who is itching to take their life offline, who's interested, or maybe this is your first time ever hearing this in the first place, and I hope that you will be inspired to take actions through what we talk about here to start taking your life offline and fulfilling your needs that social media, it fulfills for you in a different, more fulfilling way. And if you haven't caught part 1 and part 2 of this series yet, you'll want to start with those first. So I will go ahead and link those in the show notes to this episode or to the video if you're watching on YouTube. And I also want to extend an invitation for you to join us inside my free community called Offline the Community. This is the place where we come together in the common goal of living life offline. This is for people who have already taken their life offline, people who are in the process of doing so, or are doing it right now. It's really the place to come be supported in your desires to live a more fulfilling and intentional life offline. So wherever you're at on your journey as far as living your life offline, you're welcome here, so we can support you along your way, help you when it's rough and it's tough, because we know the social media struggle is so real, and so we can celebrate your wins along the way. So I will leave a link in the description to this episode for you to join us inside that community. Again, it's totally free. We just really want to be able to support you along your way. So I will leave that link, and I hope to see you on the inside. And with that, let's get into today. Today we're going over the third aspect that goes into building an offline presence, and this is building your presence in your hobbies and your interests. And so why is this important? Why is it important that we are present with the things that we're interested in or the hobbies that we enjoy? This is important because one of the most common questions or objections that I'll get when people want to leave social media but they haven't so far, or they struggle with what am I going to do next, is what am I supposed to do with my newfound time? If I'm not on social media, what am I going to do with that time instead? Because people are spending a lot of time on social media. Some people spend hours a day on social media, which adds up to days or even a couple of months if you add up all the time at the end of the year that you were spending on social media. That's a lot of time. So of course you're going to ask, what am I supposed to do with this new time? But I have great news for you today. This is going to be the specific episode for you if you've ever asked that question, because there is so much for you to do, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. I'm going to give you a suggestion that will be absolutely life-changing. And before I do, I'm going to go ahead and squash an objection that I already hear coming up. The objection is, okay, Carly, that's great. Spend more time on my hobbies and my interests. Well, guess what? I'm at work. And those are the little pockets of time that I spend the most on social media. It's just the 5 minutes here, the 5 minutes there. I can't necessarily just peace out and go play pickleball or start potting plants at my desk. And you're right, I totally understand that. We can't do those things while you're doing your regular job. But here's what I will say. Have you ever heard yourself say, oh, I wish I had time to do X? I have to say, odds are you most likely can make the time to do X. But you might have to sacrifice your show at the end of the day. You might have to change the way that you're spending these little pockets of time throughout your day in order to make the time for X. Here's another thing about your presence in your hobbies and your interests. If you're choosing to take the time to entertain your hobbies and your interests, to spend the time in those things, to me, that is very much a form of self-care, because that's very much been my experience. And so I believe that wholeheartedly. And when I think back to when I had left social media all that time ago, when I was working at my job, a little bit after I had left social media, I found myself really interested in starting my own business. I was like, I would love to start my own business. I have no clue what kind of business. I don't know how to start a business. I don't know the first thing. So what did I do with my spare time? Between making calls at work, I would do some research. I would learn all that I could about building a business. I would order products because I wanted to do a subscription box at the time. So I was actively trying to learn this new thing that I had no idea about, building a business. So I spent all of my time and extra energy in that. And if I'm being completely honest, I probably spent the time I should have been making calls in doing that too, because I was way more interested in that. But the point of sharing this is that my coworkers, some of them at the time, would be on their social media during calls, or on their social media while they should have been making calls, rather than choosing to spend their time more intentionally. And then their conversations would revolve around what they had just seen on social media. So the point, again, is that I was able to get a ton done during that time. Even though it was just a couple minutes here and a couple minutes there, I still learned a whole lot that I still know today and has still helped me to this day. I learned way back when I just had a couple minutes here and a couple minutes there. And another thing that was awesome about this little time that I spent in my interest of building a business is that it helped me start dipping my toes in businesses that I might want to try, businesses that I might eventually love. And I quickly found out through trying all these different things that none of them ended up being what I really would want to do. But I wouldn't have ever figured that out if I hadn't just dove into it and started dipping my toes when I had the time. Instead of waiting for myself to have time, I made the time in the small pockets of time. So that's a story for another time about the business, but I wanted to share that because you can choose to spend these pockets of time more intentionally and for your benefit. You can choose to pull out your notes and start writing. You can choose to write something down that you want to revisit later. You can choose to research something that you're interested in. You can also do absolutely nothing and just sit there and get to know yourself as one of your hobbies, whatever it is. And there's something I wanted to share with you from inside my free community. There are a couple friends in there who have talked about their experience in what they've done with their time once leaving social media. And I wanted to share a couple of these because it really just drives home the point that I'm making here, and it ties in perfectly with building your presence and your hobbies and your interests. So the first one I wanted to share is from CJ, and she said, been on and off social media for months, but it's been more than a week that I decided to deactivate my Facebook and Messenger, and I'm loving it. Been reading on the Kindle every day, started sketching yesterday, and I've been working out 3 times a week for a month now, and also started journaling for 2 days. B said, after 1 year away from social media, my life dramatically improved. I'm just shocked how much more free time I have outside of my work/workout sessions. Everyone would benefit from being offline for a short period of time to understand how social media drains us in many ways. Agreed. The final one I wanted to share today was from Shai, and she said, I deleted all socials. I deleted all socials from my phone as a business and took up pottery. I'm a horticulturist, so I thought it would be the perfect complement to plants. It ended up being the perfect complement to my life. This is one of the best possible hobbies I've taken up for many reasons, too many to go on about here, but it's really helped with the transition of letting the socials go. Then she went on to talk about how pottery has helped her slow down and to regain focus and to maintain creativity. And then she closed her post with this. The joy of making unique things with my hands and the blissful feeling of receiving a beautiful finished piece from the kiln trumps any feeling I've ever felt online. I think the overall message here is that whenever we want to change something for our lives, we have the best chance at doing that when we have chosen something better to replace it. Aren't these stories and these truths so inspiring? Or am I the only one over here who's like, yes, this just gets me so energized? And it's just true, you guys. I'm not making this up. This is the side effect to when you choose to start living your life offline, when you choose to start being active in the details of your life, being active in your hobbies, active in your interests. It's just like Shai says. She says that feeling of when she created that with her hands, she created that little pottery piece that she put into the kiln and she gets the finished product. That feeling is way better than anything she ever felt online. And that's absolutely true. And that will be your experience too if you can put yourself in these situations, in your hobbies and your interests, in your life offline. It just makes me so happy to know and to see firsthand that there are people out there who are taking back control of their lives, who are caring enough to stop wasting their time and to have better for themselves and to create better for their lives. Nothing gives me more energy and makes me more excited. Shai also said something at the end that I really wanted to emphasize. She said, whenever we want to change something in our lives, we have the best chance at doing that when we have chosen something better to replace it. And I think she is absolutely right. if you've ever said to yourself, I want to leave social media, but I have no clue what I'm going to spend my time doing. What am I going to fill that extra time with? This presence that we're talking about today is specifically for you. Okay, in the last episode, I don't know if you remember, but I had said that today, this episode, is the one that has been the most difficult for me as of right now in my life. And that's absolutely true. And I wanted to explain what I mean by that. So presence in my hobbies and interests changed dramatically when I became a mom, because my whole entire life changed. It's a huge life transition, and I no longer had that time to myself that I was used to having to just spend doing the things that filled my cup. I now had this person that was my whole entire world, and I just let myself kind of have that time. I let myself spend that time with her how I wanted to, until I felt like I needed to spend more time in my hobbies and interests, or more time in my hobbies and interests than I had been spending for a couple of years. It wasn't until my daughter had turned about 2.5, and then I had a second baby at the time who was 6 months old, and I was feeling like, whoa, I really need to spend more time in my hobbies and my interests, because I could feel that inside me, like, you need to spend more time in the things that fill you up, Carly. So I did. I started making more videos. If you noticed, I started my podcast. Like every single week I'm putting something out now, because this is what fills my cup. This is my interest. This right now, honestly, is like my main hobby. This isn't something that people tell me I have to do. I choose to do this. This is something that really is everything to me right now when I get to spend time to myself. This is me being Carly. While mom is like so much of who I am, and mom is everything to me, this is how I'm able to maintain some of my individuality and able to have an impact at the same time and help other people learn things that I can share from walking this pathless child, because it has transformed my life. It has absolutely been so impactful for me, and I know it can be for you too. I know it can be for anyone out there who's curious about walking the pathless child, for living life offline. So I have to share my message. I have to try my very best to help as many people as I can, because that is what fills my cup. And some people might say, that's work, Carly. But really, in this season of my life, this is absolutely a hobby and an interest of mine. And that is okay for me. I'm allowing myself to have this for me, and to have this sort of impact that really fills my cup. Honestly, it has helped me a ton. It's helped me show up better as a wife, better as a mom, and better as a person, because I am taking care of me as the individual through doing this. So thanks for allowing me to do this, and for keeping me inspired through letting me know that what I'm doing is helping, because that means the world to me. Now let's talk about you. For you, this could mean, and you fill in the blank here with anything, but this could mean filling up your cup, spending time in your hobbies and interests. Maybe you go to a movie once a week with a friend. Maybe you go shopping for ingredients to make a new recipe, and you spend time getting messy in the kitchen and whipping up something delicious for your family or for yourself. Whatever it is for you. Spend more time in your hobbies and interests and make that a priority. So how exactly do you go about building your presence in your hobbies and interests? It might seem totally obvious, and if it does to you, I just wanted to bullet it into 2 points really quickly. The first point being, identify very first what your hobbies and interests are. And if you don't know, which I totally understand, especially if you're a parent, it can be really hard to maintain that individuality that I had talked about earlier. This is an exciting opportunity for you to rediscover what you like, or to think back on what you used to like to do when it was just you. Reconnect with those things, or try new things. Go try a new hot yoga class. Go immerse yourself in a new experience. Get creative. Go find something that's going to light you up. And if you find that thing that lights you up, do more of that, which is the second point. Once you've found the thing, okay, once you've identified the hobby or the interest that you're wanting to spend more time in, make the time to spend doing that thing, to spend learning about that thing. And understand that it might change with the season of your life, and be okay with that. But make the time to prioritize these hobbies and these interests. Be present in them, because they are a part of you. They're a part of what makes, in my opinion, a whole and full life, is through expressing and creativity and doing things that make you happy. Replace the time that you're used to spending online with these things, with your hobbies and with your interests. And I promise you that when you do, you will feel more productive. You will feel more fulfilled. I have absolutely no doubt about that. And like I said before in this video, I firmly believe that spending time in your hobbies and your interests is a form of self-care. To me, self-care is also making time for fulfillment and making time for creativity and enjoyment. I truly believe that. And with that being said, my challenge today for you to implement into action for this presence is to go do something fun. Go explore a new hobby. Go look up something you're interested in. Dive into learning all about that thing. But go use your creative mind. Go get creative. Go buy a canvas and paint something that comes to your mind out of nowhere. Go without a grocery list to the grocery store and pick out ingredients and make up your own meal. Do something fun and creative that you regularly don't do. Go attend an art class or a cooking class, or am around art and cooking so much because that's kind of that kind of resonates with me right now. But go do whatever lights you up. Make the time for that this week, and then make the time for this throughout the rest of your life. Start implementing it into your life until it becomes part of your normal. I genuinely hope that after you listen to this episode, you start choosing to invest your valuable time in being present in your hobbies and in your interests. Even if it's the smallest little chunks of time, those add up really, really quickly. So don't take those for granted. Use them to your advantage and use them for more meaningful things in more meaningful ways. I can't wait to hear how you feel after you start being more intentional and more present in your hobbies and your interests. Thank you so much for being here today and for tuning in to another episode. If you're enjoying this series, I would love you to join us inside my free community, Offline the Community. We would love to support you along your way towards embracing life offline, and I might be biased, but there are the most incredible people inside my community. I'm really proud of that. I think the people who we have cultivated and brought together in there are just top-notch, amazing, the most supportive people that you could be around. So you want to be connecting with these people and having them have your back and cheering you on along the way as you strive to live your life offline. So again, I'll leave a link for you to join us in the description below this video. I'll be back next Monday to reveal the final piece, the glue that goes into building this online presence, the one that holds it all together. I can't wait to share that with you next Monday, and until then, I hope you have an amazing week.